Hi students, now we will study about ratio and proportion. Whatever I say about these two terms, that would be less as they are an integral part of arithmetic. They help us to compare the magnitude of two or more quantities. So, in this chapter, we will study about what are the properties of terms that are in a given ratio. Also, we will study about what is proportion and what is a condition for quantities to be in proportion. Further, we will understand direct and indirect variation, and of course, we will solve some of the very interesting problems based on ratio and proportion. So, without wasting a moment, let's begin this lecture. Now, let us take an example. Suppose that we have a class in which the number of boys is equal to 25 and the number of girls is equal to 20. Now, if I ask you, what is the ratio of boys to girls in this very class? Let's take one more example. Let us say that we have two containers, one containing milk and the other containing water. And these two containers are filling this very big container. Now, if I say that milk in this container is equal to 15 liters and water in this container is equal to 5 liters, then what is the ratio of milk to water in this container? Now these are some of the questions that you must have heard so many times in your life. But now what exactly is ratio? To answer to all these questions, let's try to understand what do we mean by ratio. Ratio of one quantity to another expresses what fraction the first quantity is of the second. So ratio is always expressed between two quantities. It cannot be expressed solely in terms of one quantity. So ratio of one quantity to another is actually a fraction of what first quantity is of the second. It tells us how much part of first is equal to how much parts of second. So it expresses what part or fraction of first quantity is equal to the second part. For example, A is to B is equal to 3 is to 2. So it means that if A is equal to 3, then B would be equal to 2. So of course A is greater than B. So ratio is actually a way of representing a relation between two quantities. Now A is to B, this is a very common notation. So these two dots represents the sign of ratio. So let us say that this is any ratio A is to B. Now A is known as the antecedent and B is known as the consequent. A is the numerator and B is the denominator. This numerator A is known as the antecedent and B, which is the denominator, is known as the consequent. Now there is an important thing to remember. Both the quantities should be of the same unit. So both these quantities A and B should be expressed in the same unit. For example, ratio of two lengths 1 kilometer and 100 meters is not 1 by 100. 1 divided by 100. It's not 1 by 100 because this quantity is in kilometers and this quantity is in meters. First, we have to convert it into meters and then we can have the ratio of these two quantities, or we can also convert meters into kilometers so that both the quantities have the same units. If we convert it into meters, what we get? 1000 meters by 100 meters equal to 10, or we can express this as kilometers. So this would be 1 divided by 0.1 kilometers, which is equal to 10. So in both the cases we get the answer as 10. The ratio of this quantity to this quantity is equal to 10. Also, the units gets cancelled. This is meter, but the answer is only 10. It is dimensionless. There is no such unit involved in the ratio. So ratio does not have any unit. Remember, the two quantities should have the same unit, but actually the ratio does not have any units. The units get cancelled from the numerator and the denominator. Now let's see how to compare ratios. Which ratio is greater or which ratio is smaller. Let's see how to make a comparison of ratios. We can compare ratios by reducing the denominators or numerators to the same value. So if we want to compare two ratios, then either we can make the denominators equal or we can make the numerators equal, and then comparing them we can find out which ratio is greater or which ratio is smaller. For example, which is greater, 1 by 2 or 4 by 5? This is the ratio 1 is to 2 and this is the ratio 4 is to 5. Now we have to find out which ratio is greater. Now let's try to make the denominator of both these ratios equal. The denominator of this ratio is 2 and the denominator of this ratio is 5. Now we also know that the LCM of 2 and 5 is 10. So what we can do is multiply numerator and denominator of 1 by 2 by 5, and similarly multiply the numerator and denominator of 4 by 5 by 2. So what we get, 1 into 5 divided by 2 into 5 is equal to 5 by 10. This becomes 5 by 10, and also 4 into 2 by 5 into 2 becomes 8 by 10. So we have made the denominators equal. But now if we want to compare, let's compare the numerators. Of course 8 is greater than 5, and what we can say is the ratio 8 by 10 is greater than 5 by 10, or the ratio 4 by 5 is greater than 1 by 2. So this is the method of comparing the ratios. Either we can make the denominators equal or we can make the numerators equal. Now what is compound ratio? If A is to B and C is to D are the two ratios, then AC is to BD is their compound ratio. Compound ratio is actually the multiplication of two ratios. So if we have a ratio A is to B and similarly we have a ratio C is to D, then if we multiply them we get the ratio AC is to BD, and this is known as the compound ratio. It's simply the multiplication of two ratios. Let us say that one ratio is 2 by 5 and the other is 4 by 7. We generally express a ratio in terms of fractions. So this is the ratio 2 is to 5 and this is the ratio 4 is to 7. Now their compound ratio would be 2 into 4 divided by 5 into 7. We multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. What we get? 2 into 4 divided by 5 into 7, and which is equal to 8 by 35. So the compound ratio of both these ratios 2 by 5 and 4 by 7 is nothing but equal to 8 by 35. Simply multiply the numerators and simply multiply the denominators. Now let's see some of the very useful rules for the ratios. The first is invertendo. Now what is invertendo? It says that if A by B is equal to C by D, then B by A would be equal to D by C. We simply invert the ratios. So if A by B is equal to C by D, then B by A would also be equal to D by C. And this rule is known as invertendo. Then we have alterendo. What is alterendo? It says that if A by B is equal to C by D, then A by C would be equal to B by D. We bring C to the denominator and we bring B to the numerator of this side. So what it becomes? A by C equal to B by D, and this rule is known as alterendo. The next is componendo. Now what is componendo? If A by B is equal to C by D, then if we add 1 to both the sides, this rule of ratios is known as componendo. The next is dividendo. Now what is dividendo? If A by B is equal to C by D, then A minus B divided by B is equal to C minus D divided by D. Simply add minus 1 to both sides of the equation, and this rule is dividendo. Componendo and dividendo is a combination of componendo and dividendo. So it says that if A by B is equal to C by D, then A plus B divided by A minus B is equal to C plus D divided by C minus D. Now let's move on to some of the very important properties of ratios. The ratio remains the same when the numerator and the denominator of the ratio is multiplied by a same number. So even if we multiply the numerator and the denominator of a ratio by a same number, the ratio remains the same. So let us say that the ratio is A by B and the number is K. So multiplying the numerator by K and the denominator by K, we get A into K divided by B into K. But again K and K can be cancelled, and what we get? A by B. So the ratio remains the same, that is A by B. The ratio remains the same when the numerator and the denominator of a ratio is divided by a same number. So even if we divide the numerator and the denominator by a same number, the ratio remains the same. So again let us say that the ratio is A by B and the required number be K. Now if we divide the numerator by K and denominator by K, then again we can cancel K from the numerator and the denominator, and what we get? ratio as a by b. So the ratio remains the same even if we multiply the numerator and denominator by a same number k, or if we divide the numerator and denominator by the same number k. Now let's see what is duplicate ratio. If any ratio is compounded with itself, then duplicate ratio is formed. So if we multiply any ratio by itself, multiplication of one ratio with itself is known as duplicate. So the ratio obtained when we multiply any ratio by itself is known as duplicate ratio. So a by b into a by b is equal to a square by b square. We multiply the numerator and the denominator, so it becomes a square by b square, and so this is the duplicate ratio. Now what is triplicate ratio? If we have any ratio a by b, then the ratio a cube by b cube is called as the triplicate ratio. That is, we multiply a by b 3 times. So a by b into a by b into a by b is a cube by b cube, which is known as the triplicate ratio. So a by b into a by b into a by b would be equal to a cube by b cube. We simply multiply the numerators a, and similarly we multiply the denominators to get a cube by b cube, and this is known as the triplicate ratio. The next is subduplicate ratio. Now what is subduplicate ratio? If we have any ratio a by b, then the ratio under root a by under root b is called as the subduplicate ratio. So a to the power of 1 by 2 divided by b to the power of 1 by 2 is known as the subduplicate ratio. Simply take out the square root of the ratio a by b to get the subduplicate ratio. The next is if a by b is greater than 1. So if we have any ratio which is greater than 1, that is a is greater than b, and k is any positive number, then a plus k divided by b plus k would always be less than a by b, and a minus k divided by b minus k would always be greater than a by b. So if we have any ratio a by b which is greater than 1, then if k is any positive number, a plus k divided by b plus k would always be less than a by b, and a minus k divided by b minus k would always be greater than a by b. Now if a by b is less than 1, that is the ratio is less than 1 or a is less than b, then for any positive number k, a plus k divided by b plus k would be greater than a by b, and a minus k divided by b minus k would always be less than a by b. Now an important point to note is, whenever we have n quantities, say a1, a2, a3 and so on up to an, in the ratio of a1 is to a2 is to a3 and so on up to an, then what we can do is we can assume the values to be a1 equal to a1k, capital A2 equal to a2k, capital A3 equal to a3k, and so on up to capital An equal to ank. So if these quantities are in this ratio, then we can assume their individual values to be this way. Now this property is the property that will be used in all the problems related to ratio and proportion. So based on the above, let's try to solve an example. Find three numbers in the ratio of 1:2:3 so that the sum of their squares is equal to 504. So in this problem we have been given three numbers, and these three numbers are in the ratio of 1:2:3. Also given to us is that the sum of their squares is equal to 504. We have to find these three numbers. So given to us is that the numbers are in the ratio of 1:2:3. So we can assume the numbers to be x, 2x and 3x. So let us say that the first number is x, the second number is 2x, and the third number is 3x. Now given to us is that the sum of the squares is equal to 504. So we can write the equation as x square plus 2x whole square plus 3x whole square equal to 504. This is x square, this is 4x square, this is 9x square. When we add them up, what we get? 14x square equal to 504. This further becomes x square equal to 36, or x equal to 6. So we get the value of x equal to be 6. So the three numbers would be, the first number is x, so it would be 6 into 1, which is equal to 6. The second number is 2x, so the second number becomes 6 into 2 equal to 12, and the third number is 3x. So that number would be 6 into 3, which is equal to 18. So these are the three numbers.